Welcome to session 5 of free vibrations chapter. In the previous classes we have discussed about the three different conditions, that is zeta greater than 1, zeta less than 1 and zeta is equals to 1. In the previous class we have discussed about overdamped condition and critically damped condition. In this session, we will discuss about the underdamped condition. In case of underdamped system, the value of zeta will be less than 1 and the roots are complex conjugates. That is, the roots are imaginary and their values can be written as given below. Alpha 1 will be equals to minus zeta plus, since the roots are complex conjugates, we have the term I into square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n, and alpha 2 is equals to minus zeta minus I under the root 1 minus zeta square omega n. Call these two as equation 1. The general expression of this underdamped system becomes x equals to a1 e to the power of minus zeta plus square root of zeta square minus 1 into omega nt plus a2 e to the power of minus zeta minus square root of zeta square minus 1 into omega nt. Here, in these two terms, we can observe that e to the power of minus zeta omega nt is a common. So, taking out the common term, we can write it as e to the power of minus zeta omega n into t, square bracket open, a1 e to the power of I square root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus a2 e to the power of minus I square root of 1 minus zeta square omega nt. Close the square bracket. Here, this can be further simplified by using Euler's theorem. We know that according to Euler's theorem, e to the power of I theta is equal to cos theta plus I sin theta. Also, e to the power of minus I theta is equals to cos theta minus I sin theta. Using the above Euler's theorem, we can write the equation as x equals to e to the power of minus zeta omega nt and the square bracket open a1 as it is and the cos theta, that is cos of this term, that is cos of 1 minus zeta square omega nt plus a1 I sin theta, that is I into sin into theta 1 minus zeta square under the root omega nt plus the second term can also be written in the similar fashion, that is cos theta minus I sin theta. Now in this equation inside the square bracket has two cos terms and two sin terms. So separating the cos terms and sin terms, we can write it as e to the power of minus zeta omega nt as usual outside the bracket, and we observe that both the cos terms have a1 and a2 as common, so therefore a1 plus a2 cos of 1 minus zeta square omega nt and 1 minus zeta square will be under the root plus a1 minus a2 into I sin square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega nt. This equation we can further simplify, wherein we can consider this term as omega dt, that is square root of 1 minus zeta square omega n can be written as omega d, and the term a1 plus a2 can be written as c1 and a1 minus a2i can be written as c2. So therefore, the above equation becomes x is equals to e to the power of minus zeta omega nt into square bracket C1 cos omega dt plus C2 sin omega dt. We have the notations here. C1 is equals to A1 plus A2, C2 is equals to A1 minus A2 into I, and omega d is equals to square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n, where omega d is called as the frequency of underdamped vibration. Substituting, C1 is equals to A1 plus A2, that is nothing but we substitute C1 as x sin phi and C2 as x cos phi in the above equation. So therefore the equation can be written as x is equals to e to the power of minus zeta omega nt. So C1 can be replaced as x sin phi and cos omega dt plus x cos phi sin omega dt. Here in these two terms, when we observe carefully, we can see that it is in the form of sin A plus B. So therefore x is a common term, so it's taken outside, e to the power of minus zeta omega nt sin of omega dt plus phi. And here the above equation we can see that x is equals to square root of C1 square plus C2 square, and phi is equals to tan inverse of C1 by C2. The values of C1 and C2 can be obtained if the values of A1 and A2 are known. The values of A1 and A2 can be found from initial conditions. That is, when x is constant and e to the power of minus zeta omega nt, which will decrease with time. Sin of omega dt plus phi represents the repetition of motion. Here x is a constant term, e to the power of minus zeta omega nt will decrease with time, and sin of omega dt plus phi represents a repetition of motion. That is about the underdamped system. Now coming to the next topic, that is logarithmic decrement. The definition of logarithmic decrement is as given below. The ratio of any two successive amplitudes on the same side of the mean position in an underdamped system is constant and is a function of damping only. In the figure, we can see the displacement time plot for an underdamped system, and the sinusoidal waveform is drawn for the underdamped system. Here, the definition of logarithmic decrement says that if we take the ratio of any two successive amplitudes on the same sides, so the amplitudes are represented here as x1, x2, x3, x4, so on. So when we take the amplitudes on the same side of the mean position, it should be a constant in case of underdamped system. Figure shows that the distance between the amplitude is a time period Tp. The displacement for an underdamped system is given as x is equals to x into e to the power of minus zeta omega n sin omega dt plus phi, as we discussed in our derivation just now. And in this equation, the first term x into e to the power of minus zeta omega nt represents the amplitude and omega d represents the angular frequency. When sin of omega dt plus phi is equals to 1, then we get the equation as x equals to capital X e to the power of minus zeta omega n t. If this is the equation, then we can write for the first amplitude as x1 is equals to x into e to the power of minus omega n when time is t1. When the amplitude is x2, it is nothing but x is equals to e to the power of minus zeta omega n into t2 when time is t2. According to the definition of logarithmic decrement, we can write it as the ratio of any two successive amplitudes. So we will take here x1 and x2 as the ratio of two amplitudes, which is equals to x into the e to the power of minus zeta omega n t1, x into e to the power of minus zeta omega n t2. This can also be written as e to the power of minus zeta omega n t1 plus e to the power of minus zeta omega n t2, as x in the numerator and denominator cancels. Therefore, x1 by x2 is equals to, since both have common base, we can write it as e to the power of zeta omega n t2 minus t1, so that we can remove the negative symbol also. Now, x1 by x2 is equals to e to the power of minus zeta omega n. The difference in the time period t2 minus tp is nothing but time period tp. Using this, we can write tp is equals to 2 pi by omega d, when omega d is given as square root of zeta square minus 1 into omega n. So therefore, time period is equals to 2 pi divided by the substitution of omega d, that is square root of zeta square minus 1 into omega n. Now, we substitute the value of Tp in the previous equation, that is x1 by x2 is equals to e to the power of zeta omega n into Tp. So Tp is nothing but 2 pi divided by square root of zeta square minus 1 into omega n. This can be written as, since it is zeta omega n into 2 pi, so therefore we can write it as x1 by x2 is equals to e to the power of 2 pi zeta divided by square root of zeta square minus 1 when omega n in the numerator and in the denominator are cancelled with each other. Therefore, taking the natural log, we can write that natural log of x1 by x2 is equals to 2 pi zeta divided by square root of zeta square minus 1. This is for the first two amplitudes that are taken successively. Similarly, we can write for x2 by x3, x3 by x4 or x4 by x5, so on up to xn divided by xn plus 1, which is nothing but e to the power of 2 pi zeta square root of zeta square minus 1. This equation holds good for any two successive amplitudes. Therefore, to finally write about the logarithmic decrement delta is given as natural log of x1 by x2, which is equals to 2 pi zeta square root of zeta square minus 1. Here, this represents the logarithmic decrement and it is represented by delta. And when zeta is very small, the term in the denominator can become neglected, and therefore zeta is very small, delta value will be 2 pi into zeta. We shall now discuss some of the numerical problems on the logarithmic decrements. The first numerical is as given here. A damped spring mass system has mass of 10 kg and spring stiffness K is equals to 10 Newton per mm, and C is the damping coefficient, which is equals to 0.1 Newton second per mm. Obtain the equation for the displacement of the mass. The values given are, the given data are mass, spring, damping coefficients are given. Using this, we have to find out the equation for the displacement of the mass. Using the above three data, we can find out first of all the natural frequency. So we know that natural frequency is omega n is equals to square root of k by m radians per second. Since the value of the spring stiffness is in Newton per millimeters, we will write it in the form of meters. So therefore 10 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by mass is 10 kgs. So we get it as 31.62 radians per second. Omega n natural frequency is nothing but square root of k by m. So substituting value of k by m, we get the value of omega n as 31.62 radians per second. And the critical damping coefficient Cc is equals to 2m omega n, which is nothing but 2 into the mass is how much, 10 kg, and the value of omega n is 31.62. So therefore critical damping coefficient is equals to 632.455 Newton second per meter. According to the definition of logarithmic decrement and with the zeta value, zeta is defined, or the damping factor is defined as ratio of damping coefficient to critical damping coefficient. So damping coefficient is given as 0.1 in Newton second per millimeter. So therefore we can write it as 0.1 into 10 to the power of 3 divided by critical damping coefficient is 632.455, which is nothing but 0.158. The obtained value of zeta is equals to 0.158 and it is less than 1. Hence the system is an underdamped system, wherein the value of the displacement will be x equals to x into e to the power of minus zeta omega n t sine of omega dt plus phi. We know that omega d is equals to square root of 1 minus zeta square omega n. So substituting the value of omega n and zeta, we get the value of omega d, that is that nothing but 31.222 radians per second. And the equation of displacement will be x is equals to x into e to the power of minus phi t sine of 31.222 t plus phi. In the above equation, we substitute the value of zeta and omega d, so that we get the equation as for the displacement like this. This is about the solution of the first problem. Now moving on to the second problem. The second problem is like this. For the system shown in figure, the characteristics of the dashpot is such that when a constant force of 60 Newton is applied to the piston, its velocity is found to be constant at 0.12 meters per second. Determine damping coefficient. Second, check whether the system is periodic or aperiodic. Here the data given are that there is a constant force of 60 Newton applied on the piston. So the solution can be solved by taking the viscous force. So we know that viscous force is given by F is equals to C into x dot. Here the force is 60 newtons, which is equals to C into the velocity is 0.12 meters per second. So therefore damping coefficient C is equals to 500 Newton second per meter. The second one, natural frequency of undamped system. Natural frequency is given as square root of k by m radians per second. Here the value of k and m are substituted so that we get the natural frequency as 10 radians per second. At last, the damping factor zeta is given as ratio of damping coefficient to critical damping coefficient. In this equation, the value of mass and the value of omega n are substituted along with the damping coefficient so that the value of zeta will be obtained as 1.67. Since the value of zeta is greater than 1, we call that the system is a overdamped system. Hence, the motion will be aperiodic in nature. We shall now discuss few of the multiple choice questions on the topics discussed. The first question is, in underdamped vibrating system, if x1 and x2 are the successive values of the amplitude on the same side of the mean position, then the logarithmic decrement is equal to. We know that the logarithmic decrement is nothing but ratio of two successive amplitudes. So therefore, it is log of x1 by x2. It is not just x1 by x2, neither log x1 by x2 to the base e nor x1 into x2. So therefore, the right answer will be answer B, that is log of x1 by x2. The second question, in damped vibrations, the amplitude of the resulting vibration gradually diminishes. We know that a damper is the one which restricts or opposes the motion of the body. And due to this opposition, the amplitude of the resulting vibration will go on reducing with time. So therefore, the right option will be answer A, that is the amplitude of the resulting vibration gradually diminishes. So it is, the answer is option A, that is true. Now the third question, the time taken by body to complete one cycle is. In the first session we have discussed on the different terminologies pertaining to vibration. The time taken by a body to complete one cycle is called as period. So therefore, the equation in the options given, we have period, frequency, resonance and damping. So the right answer will be answer A, that is period. The last question, the reciprocal of the interval of time taken by a vibrating body to complete a cycle is called. Reciprocal of time is nothing but frequency. So therefore, among the four options given, that is period, frequency, resonance and amplitude, the right answer will be option B, that is frequency. With this, we conclude the session 5. Thank you.